Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here for our second stream this weekend. Back to back. Had a great time yesterday playing in the WCQ 2025 event, and I think we're going to continue with that today. But yeah, I hope everybody is doing well out there. I think I'm just going to get right on into it. What's up, Majora? See Kribo Dude and PF Co-Banger as well. Yeah, we're just gonna get right on into it. I'm gonna warm up with Sprite a little bit. I say warm up, but we're already at level 19, so we might just end up in our warm-up session ranking up to max level. But regardless of whether or not we do, I do have a couple of other plans in mind for today. We might be trying out a new deck, and we might be doing a tier list as well. The tier list I'm not 100% certain about. I might end up recording that like on my own time separately, but I'm also still kind of debating which of the new decks I want to try out. It's between, well, okay. It's between Crystron and Voiceless Voice, and I'm leaning towards Voiceless Voice pretty heavily. Crystron's main appeal is that it's a little cheaper, and I think it's a little bit stronger in the long run, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I'm going to switch back over to Fiendsmith Sprite. Let me look over this list real quick. Jarius? Yeah, this looks pretty good to me. Yeah, we're just gonna run this. Yeah, we did pretty well for ourselves yesterday. Especially that last run with Sprite. I think we ended up going like 10-5. We also played Snake Eye and Ubel yesterday. Got a little recording in for those future YouTube videos. Alright, let's see what this hand looks like. Okay, we at least have one hand trap. It's on a 49 card deck. Interesting. Too Legit 33, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well today. Set. Interesting. It's an opening out of 2004 right there. We'll definitely take it though. Ooh, Swap Frog is not a bad top deck here. Feeble Blurry is probably not going to get much use here, but let's just start with normal summon Swap Frog. And of course we'll activate to dump the Ronin. The dreaded triple set. At least one of those sets is a monster. When it's one or two back row, I'm like, that's fine. But then when they have the third back row, that's when I kind of get like, ooh, things are getting a little scary. Alright, Sprite Blue F. Okay, we're gonna go for Jet here. I'm gonna special summon Jet for starter, I think, here. Even though we're going second and we could OTK, I think we might be able to do it without the Gamma Burst. Also, if we end up getting hit with a really like devastating trap card, I want to have a backup play in the form of starter. Alright, let's go for Sprint next. I'll use Swap Frog. I'll use Blue. Keep Jet up. It's got a little more attack that might end up mattering. Alright, Sprint F. Let's see if you've been saving Imperm or if it's something else. Or if you don't have anything. Preferably the latter. They're thinking. It's super poly. Okay, I was gonna say their icon and border kind of makes you think it might be branded. Is this Albaz then? Albaz and Sprint into Mirror Jade right here? Is that what's about to happen? I think it is. Send Mercurier is pretty good for me. That's exactly what's about to happen. Okay, so we have to deal with Mirror Jade. Might just fire off starter here. For red. Here's the thing. I want to negate the second effect a little more than the first effect. I kind of don't care about the first effect quite as much. That doesn't target, that's right. But even if that baits, it's actually still not horrible here. Okay, we're just gonna let this resolve for now. I don't really have an efficient way to bounce it, do I? Oh, they're just gonna use it now? That's perfect. That's literally perfect. That took all the thinking that I was gonna have to do here out of the equation. Playing a 60 card Sprite pile? Hell yeah. What are you playing in your Sprite list? Sprite ban list on hits are going to be, there's going to be one of those tactical tri decks soon. That would be cool. That would be really cool. But I don't have a lot of hope that's going to be the case, but again, I think that would be really cool if it was. Okay, so we'll let this resolve for the time being. Okay, banishing Jet, sure. Okay, so yeah, I wanna be able to. Yeah, I think I should activate this now. Millennium and Fiendsmith, hell yeah. I kind of want to try that variant out. It's Ash Blossom? Okay, perfect. We have Cross out, so we have a good use for that here. A little worried about this last face down, but if we can... They used Ash Blossom, right? Just want to triple check. Yep. Alright, if we can make it through this Mirror Jade, then we should be good to go here. What's up, Timbu? Alright, so we're gonna go into Elf with the 2 beavers. I'm gonna go Elf F. Maybe I should have put red. I mean, this isn't target anyway, but this might. The face down might. Let's go for swap again. Swap F. Dump another swap frog. I could even search for Max C here. That'd be kind of funny. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. There might not even be anything better to summon off Gigantic anyway, to be honest. Okay, is that how I want to do this, though? Could I do better? Like, could I go boom, boom... Actually, boom, boom, Gigantic. Gigantic for another body. So 1, 2, Gigantic. Detach Ronin. I'm trying to figure out if I can Shadow Mosquito OTK here. I feel like I might be able to. Let's experiment a little bit here. It means missing out on the 3200 Gigantic if I'm wrong, though. So if I go Gigantic for Ronin and swap, detach Ronin to special... Even the last swap frog wouldn't really do it, though. I think I'm just going to go for my original plan here. Might be thinking a little bit too hard about it. Like, we're not going to OTK them, but we're just going to leave them with nothing. Punch. Oh, I can't. I can't negate that. Oh, no, because it activates during the damage step. Misplay. Misplay. Ooh, that's bad. Okay. The thing that really sucks is that also doesn't activate, so I can't even really go into, like... I can't even really go into, like, an SP dodge. Ooh, that's bad. I can bounce something with the swap frog. Let's do that. I'm gonna bounce my... Bounce Carrot. And Mirror Jade only destroys monsters, right? I can't believe I have to triple check that, but yeah, okay, so I can still do this. Okay, you know what? Not ideal, but it could have been worse. I mean, I could have gotten into, you know what? I should have gotten into IP, and then I could have linked IP like into SP, banished the face down, and SP would have been destroyed. I love thinking of plays too late, and then I get to add Branded Fusion. Wow, that was a throw. Am I gonna surrender here? They Branded Fusion for Albion, I impermit, I might be able to come back. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. On a follow-up turn, I could normal summon Lurie, hopefully go into Fiendsmith line, and then special Carrot, then blue. Is that a little greedy, or should I just lead with normal summon Carrot, special blue? I mean, it'll depend on what we top deck as well. Duality. Oh yeah, I'm gonna concede to that. That's a pretty easy concede. Rip. Yeah, that game was super winnable. Oh well. We'll just go to the next one here. Like I said, we're just getting warmed up here. But yeah, hope everybody is doing well today. Alright, we're running this coin flip. It's pretty good. Yeah, set Albaz, set Super Poly. Ooh, this hand is very good. Second starter is a little redundant, but I love everything else here. What's up, Maurice? Hope you are doing well today. Yeah, not doing any recording at the moment, so I will definitely be chatting it up. I think even if we do record the tier list video later, I'll include chat a little bit more in that one than I do for like the build-in plays. Okay, it doesn't seem like they have anything. They're just gonna concede. Perfect. TCG players have a spreadsheet. Yeah, you know, spreadsheets are very useful, but I do not have a brain built for them. It's very difficult for me to absorb information via a spread. I mean, really, a spreadsheet is just a link to a bunch of like combo lines, but I don't know. I learn better by playing and feeling it out than by watching replays and memorizing every individual line. If that makes any sense. This hand's also definitely not bad. Not quite as good as that last one, but definitely still not bad. I'm a little tempted. Yeah, if I didn't have Beaver, I would be very tempted to normal summon Fabled Lurie. Well, if I didn't have Beaver, that would actually just be the right play here, but we're just gonna normal summon Beaver. RDA does seem kind of cool. Not even kinda, it's very cool. It's cool that it's a structure deck now. I think the only thing that you need to craft that isn't in the structure deck, and obviously isn't a staple card or something like that, is you know what? Should have done this sooner, but I'm gonna do this now. Okay. That is so fine. Oh my god, that was about to be used against my angler. Almost have another one, which would be really bad for me. That's not what I intended to bait out, but that I didn't even really intend to bait out anything. I was intending to summon red to stop a hand trap, but surprise baiting out Impulse definitely works for me too. What are we gonna summon? Swap Frog here? Yeah, we'll summon Swap Frog here because we can jet for starter for blue. We didn't use starter. No, we used starter already. Okay, yeah. So we do summon blue then because we already used starter. Okay, glad I double checked that. Synchrons are getting a structure deck in the OCG. At least Junk Warrior is. They haven't revealed any of the cards yet, but the little blurb they revealed about it reveals it's going to be centered around Junk Warrior, so that's really cool. What am I getting here? I'm going to get red here. Yeah, why not? We'll just get everything on the field. So untapped I'm not using on my own setup because I'm doing a window capture, but there should be an overlay on Twitch. Yeah, there should be an overlay on Twitch that is like effectively the same thing. Although I haven't messed with that recently, so it might have like, I don't know, if you're not seeing it, there's I guess a chance it got out of whack and I'm not aware yet. Oh, okay, it is. Good. Am I going to leave Gigantic up? I think I will. I could go Boom Boom into SP, but you know what? I'm not going to, because then I can draw phase starter for Carrot, and I kind of like that more. Alright. Normal summon Neptibus. This is just a spell speed 1 effect. You better believe I'm gonna IP. But you know what? I'm gonna Elf first. And it doesn't super matter what we target here. I'm gonna get Jet for my last starter. Alright, Jet F. And then now I can go IP. Alright, we'll get this guy out of here. Where is he? There we go. Alright, they've used their normal summon. They can't send a water dude with the Neptibus now. You can discard this card in 1 water monster, look at your opponent's hand and banish from it. That is... They're sending Deep Sea Diva for that? That is unbelievably fine. You go right ahead. These do not matter. Alright, they have 2 cards left, and we have Red and Carrot, which feels pretty good to me. You can choose this card from your hand in 1 Mermail or Atlantean card. Take during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard, blah blah. Okay, so we just negate this. Yep. Okay. I just wanted to read it and make sure that it didn't do anything when it was tributed as well. But, okay. Woohoo! I'll save that one. That was good. Generators? Generators seem cool. I've never built them. Oh, it's that guy. It's a good username. What's up, Arcade Ape? Oh, you've been here. I saw you say Generator, and I was like, hey, it's Arcade Ape. Arcade Ape plays that deck. Oh, that's a rough going second hand. I mean, maybe it'll work out. It's a lot of gas to potentially push through whatever they set up. It'll just depend on how scary that is. What's up with the subscription from Ski? Thank you so much, Ski, for 22 months in a row. Holy sub streak. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Alright, so they went Lubellion for Magnum Hut, summon Ether Barrel. So it's Primite, Fiendsmith, Control. Bestial as well, of course. Okay, you know what? This deck does not have as scary unchecked turn 1s as other decks, so that makes me a little optimistic, at least. There's Drill Beam, yep. They have Magnum Hut in hand. And they're not really able to go, like, turbo full combo. Like, they can't go into Fiendsmith plays from here. Cool, okay, you know what? I'm definitely feeling more optimistic about our odds here. Second swap is not even bad, because it means we can just special summon one. But I'm going to lead with Fiendsmith plays. This will probably bait out the Magnum Hut on the Lurie. Okay, they're going to try to droll now. I think that's definitely worthy of a called by. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have. I do have both blue and jet, though, and I kind of want to use both for sure. So if they throw out like a maxi here, I'm going to feel foolish, but odds aren't like the highest for them to have it, and I don't know. It's kind of like if they have it, you know? Do not build generators, it's very rogue. Yeah, I don't really have plans to. But it's a neat deck. Magnum Hut. No, interesting. Are they gonna use it against Engraver? That'd be fine with me, because then this way I get an extra body out of it. They're using Drill Beam? That's completely fine. That's a huge relief. Yeah, am I gonna normal? Well, no, I already special. You know what? That's fine. We'll just special summon it. And then we can bounce to normal. That's so fine. That's so fine. Okay, so they have Magnum Hut and one more card left. They can still summon Magnum Hut, for what it's worth. And they're gonna do it right now. Okay. This is going to leave them with one more card that could be a potential hand trap. Oh, they couldn't Magna, right, because we didn't have monsters in play. Good call, good call. I always forget about that. Well, not always forget about it, but I just forgot about it in that instance. Okay, search effect, yep. Alright, let's go for blue next. I'm going to blue for red here, I think. That is so fine. Let's go. Okay, so they're out of hand traps, so we don't need red that badly anymore. Okay, so are we gonna jet for Gamma Burst? Can we OTK here? If we're gonna OTK, it's probably gonna be with Shadow Mosquito, right? How many monsters would we need? I think only 3, and we could deal some damage by battling over the Ether Barrel. I'm going to try going for it here. Especially because I can... Oh, yeah. I think we should have enough bodies here. This should be fine, because we can go... Oh, yeah. It's mosquito time. Dump the Ronin. Res the Ronin. What's up, D-level men? Because mosquito is just when an attack is declared. Yeah, I don't even have to be attacking the thing. Alright, let's detach the Ronin. I can still bounce swap in normal, yep. I'm just gonna go for red here, why not? Yeah, because we haven't used our normal summon yet, so... That's gonna get us another body. Yeah, we have far more than enough bodies here. Dump the last swap frog. Ronin F. And let's go for the mosquito. And we can still start her for carrot. Not that we need these negates. They might be unaware, we'll see. Alright. Battle. Okay, we can do this. I love that you don't even have to battle into the thing. I should have battled this way first, but I don't think it's gonna matter. Nah, because we're just gonna win right here. I love Shadow Mosquito OTKs. They're so cool. Mosquito is the best card ever. It's an OTK engine and a Zeus pilot. Like, what more could you ask for? I'm definitely saving that one. This might be our rank up game. Hopefully it is. It is! Funny username. Winning the coin flip. Love to see it. There we go. Okay. Not a bad hand. Yeah, I'm just gonna start with normal summon Beaver. Please don't have Mexi. Okay. Should I activate starter yet? I don't need to. I could, though. I could starter... No, I'm not going to yet. XDD Curse, thank you for the follow. And yes, Maurice, we did win that last game. With the Mosquito OTK. I was a little worried of this getting impermed, but... doesn't look like that's the case. That's why I was thinking about using starter. I was considering trying to get a carrot out here before I went into sprint. Are we going for Swap Frog here? I guess that makes sense for more bodies. Do we need that many bodies, though? Like, because here's the thing. If I starter for blue for Jet, I can't go into carrot. But if I gigantic for carrot or for blue, either way. Okay, they're using Ash Blossom here. Why does this feel like bait? I don't need this. I can still get... yeah, this is fine. Alright, so we're gonna start her for blue for Jet for more bodies here. That felt like bait. That just felt like bait. I feel like they were gonna nib me. I felt like they were about to nib me after that resolved, or after I negated with red. I might be overthinking that, but that's just my gut instinct. We can still start her for carrot in this situation anyway. Doesn't really matter. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have nib. It kind of felt like they didn't, or maybe they just kept their toggle off the whole time. That Ash Blossom just felt a little weird to me. I decided to play around it. I do like Dragon Maids. I played them like once for a video when I got like the structure decks. But I think they're also a really good engine for a lot of decks. Like Dragon Link, Paleo, you can play Dragon Maid Sprite is a thing. It's, as long as any archetype's got a level 2, right? Oh, it's a mirror! It's a mirror match! Alright, so I think I'm going to red sack Gigantic to negate and destroy this swap. It'll not only stop them from setting up more bodies in the graveyard, it will also not... They won't have anything on field, and they won't be able to special summon a Sprite from hand. I could have thought about waiting and then using Elf for Sprint to get some use out of Sprint's effect, but I think this might end up being better. As far as just playing around all their stuff. They're thinking. Am I going to use Elf if they pass party back to me? I don't think I have to, but I might anyway. What's up, nerd? 537. That's not me just making fun of somebody. Okay, so they're banishing Jet from hand to activate Smashers. Smashers does not target. Wait. They play this? They did play this in the Imperm column. So I actually don't have to use Carrot here. Would I rather use Imperm than Carrot? I think I would, because I feel like they're about to play a starter. Let me do this first. Let me see if they chain to this. I'm sorry, nerd. I hope you're doing well today. As well as everybody else. They do have another effect. They have a starter. They have a starter in hand. That's one of their last 2 cards, I know it. I know you have a starter. Are starter nib actually the 2 cards in your hand, opponent? Can I read your mind that well? If their hand is actually starter nib, I'm actually, like, clairvoyant. God, I wish I could see opponents' hands during or after replays. I understand why it's not a thing for this event, for sure. Same reason they don't let you see deck lists in-game. X-Lex Pegasus. Woo! We got the surrender! Let's go! Let's go! That is a D level max. Definitely saving that one. Let's go! That was so good. Do you think it's ever worth summoning Gigantic before Sprint if we don't have access to red to be safe from nib? I seem to always either take the risk since not being able to sprint off the board feels bad. I generally go for the risk as well. Here's when I won't do it, is if I open Beaver plus, like, well, 2 Beaver, right? Because then it's not really worth it to sprint anymore, because you're not net gaining bodies, you're just ending on the same number of bodies. So if I open 2 Beaver, then I'll just go Beaver Angler into Gigantic, because, yeah, there's not really a point in going into Sprint anyway, and then you play around Nib. But you're asking more about if you have the option to sprint or gigantic. I pretty much always go for the sprint. If I was playing in a tournament, I might be a little more cautious, depending on what round it was and what my record was. But generally speaking, I will go for the sprint because, like, you know, if you don't, you're just missing out on bodies, and they're not gonna have nib the majority of the time. You know, most builds that do play it only play one, and nib is a card that I don't even think sees 50% representation. I actually don't know what that figure is off the top of my head. Thanks, Depression. I appreciate that. Were you able to get voiceless voice or not yet? So that, I think that might be the next thing that we do here. I want a new deck, and I think that deck might just end up being voiceless voice. Because I'm kind of sitting on a lot of materials right now. As you can see, I'm over 10,000 gems, and stuff is starting to go to the gift box. I do have a bit of a hole in my pocket, and I also have, above even my, frankly, kind of ridiculous threshold for UR craft points, I don't like going below 300. I will, occasionally, but I typically don't enjoy it. So even keeping my threshold of 300 UR craft points, I still can spend 5 here. So I did the math earlier, and it'll take me 15 URs to craft voiceless. If I wanted to go for Crystron, that would take me 11 total, which is not that many fewer. Also, 15 does not include Nadir Servant, because I think I'm going to play a Fiendsmith build as my first build. But, so I would still need to pull 10. The thing is, like, I'm really not trying to spend all of my gems right now. I would like to save still. So I'm a little bit on the fence. I don't know. I might, like, part of me is like, what if I bought like 1 or 2 10 packs and then just see how it goes? But I don't want to end up in an awkward situation where I have, like, you know, 2 lows and nothing else. I mean, that's not the worst situation to be in though, right? I could just sit on them, see what the next selection pack is. If it's another, like, potential skip for me, then I could go all in on Voiceless Voice. Maybe we'll do it that way. I might have just talked myself into it. I'm holding everything for Ryziel. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking about too. I don't think they're going to release Ryziel and Malice at the same time either, so it doesn't hurt to save. What's up, Toadette? So we just cleaned up our Worlds qualifier run. We got to max, finished it off with Fiends to Sprite. I'm debating if I want to build Voiceless or Crystron right now. I want to play Voiceless more. That's the one I'm more interested in personally. The problem is Voiceless is a little more expensive and it's a little less powerful in the long run. I think Crystron is definitely better in the long run. You know what? Let's buy a 10 pack for Voiceless. Let's see how it goes. If it goes well, we'll keep going into it. And if it doesn't, we won't, you know? We could just switch over to, like, Punk or something. We could just play Ranked Ladder. We don't have to build something today, but let me craft a Voiceless card. Royal Low? Oh, then I would have to build the deck. Not that I would be upset about that. Yeah, we just need to craft one of the SRs. Doesn't really matter which one. Alright. Gamba time! Gamba time indeed. Alright. Yeah, let's start with a 10 pack here. Okay, we got at least 1 UR. What's up, Coop? Hope you're doing well. Nephthys shares this pack. That's so funny. Thankfully, of the 6 select URs, Nephthys only makes up 1 of them. So if we get a UR on this side, odds are really, really good for it to be a voiceless UR. There's literally only 1 Nephthys UR. Or Nephthys. Thanks, Coop. I really appreciate that. I am doing well. I hope the same is true for you, too. Alright, it's on the right side of the pack. Ooh, we have a few things that could be things here. Ooh, we did get 2 URs. We got a Dempsey and a Skull Guardian. Okay, that's not bad. That's definitely not bad. That would be... I already have at least 1 Dempsey. Excuse me, I'm pretty sure. But I like seeing URs in general. Because I could just dismantle them, of course. Why is it's bad because Battle and Boxer's circular card... Ooh, we got another UR. Sick. The reason Battle and Boxer is bad is because their circular is an archetype block, which is really brutal. It's the Nephthys. Okay, that's... At least it's a UR. At least it's 1 more UR that we weren't expecting. I figured you probably knew why, but I wanted to explain it for maybe other folks. I'm sure there are other reasons. Yeah, I'm just not really familiar with them personally. It's also like if you're gonna play like a Fire Warrior deck that gets locked, you know, why not just play Infernoble? You can even play like, well, maybe, I don't know actually. Like an Infernoble variant of, or a Battle and Boxer variant of Infernoble. Just like that Warrior Turbo. Alright, last pack. Let's see if it's got anything fun in it. Alright, no URs in that last one, but we did get 3 total here. Only 1 of which is actually going into the voiceless deck. You know what? That's good enough to open at least 1 more 10-pack. Ooh, okay. We got 2 guaranteed URs here. Got 2 rainbow packs. That's a good sign. Blessing and Conductor. Here's one of our URs. Let's go, Royaldo. Oh no, it's on the wrong side of the pack. Oh no. It's a Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. That's interesting. I mean, I might just end up keeping that anyway. It's a decent card. Funny hand trap. It's not like the worst thing in the world to have pulled. Anti-Fiendsmith. That's actually, yeah, that's true. If this other UR is not a voiceless card, I think I might give up for now. Maybe, I don't know. The desire to gamble is strong. Also, Trans Cicada. We love a Trans Cicada. We love Cis Cicadas too. The Zombie World against Flu, yeah, that's a fun interaction. The Zombie World Tribute Locks mattered a lot more back in the day when it first came out. It's hard to believe Zombie World is such an old card. I always forget that. Okay. Anything here? No. Silver Sentinel. This was a TCG exclusive card, I'm pretty sure. Might have something here. In here. Come on. Ah, dang. Alright, last pack. This one does have a UR in it. Zombie Link. I hope Zombie Link becomes a thing someday. I would be super down for that style of deck. Oh no, are you kidding me? So they're Nephthys? Oh, a glossy Nephthys. I thought it was about to be royal for a second. Alright. One more for now. Let's see. I mean, you know, we'll see what's in it. Ooh, okay. Alright. Immediately rewarded for buying one more. Immediately rewarded. That's a good sign. We could build Sprite Nephthys. I did see it, we did see it in a viewer special recently, so we did get a taste of how the deck plays. Kaya the Fierce Knight. Never punished for gambling. Konami coming in like, no, buy some more. Come on, Konami, where's my streamer luck, right? No, that's not the right side. It's the left side, in fact. Technically, it could still be a voiceless UR. It's Destiny Hero Dominance. Alright, I love secret packs. They're my favorite. Okay, we have no idea where it's going to be here. Oh, please don't be here. No, are you kidding? Whoa. Alright, I'll keep this one. Huh. Mulch Army jump scare. we got two niche but kind of neat hand traps. That's actually kind of not good for me though, because if I'm gonna pull URs that aren't voiceless stuff, I want them to be things that I can dismantle. Are you actually serious? Dodged again. I don't want Magus Spectre, I want voiceless voice! Rip, I'm getting super punished here. I'm probably just gonna stop after this 10-pack. I tried, but I don't think the time is right. Lex, love your videos. We play a lot of the same decks, so I'm always looking for your new list. Thank you. Blah, I don't know why I struggled to say that. I really appreciate that. Also, sorry YouTube folks that I haven't been responding to your chats. It's they're not showing up here. Hang on a sec. They weren't showing up. There we go. Okay. I had to toggle my multi-chat. Sorry YouTube folks. I just looked over and noticed it's been Twitch this whole time. I'm like, sure, there's been folks over on YouTube. Grim, Surma, Karaoke, N64, Internet Virus. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Or have you been here? I feel like I've seen your chats. They just weren't showing up as YouTube specific. Maybe. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, but like I said, I think we're probably... Oh? Well then. Okay. We'll take that. Now, are they going to be voiceless cards, or is this two more of the Nephthys Link? We're going to find out. Okay. Okay. It's one more of the Nephthys Link and another Skull Guardian. Watch it be. It was almost two Nephthys. We pulled a playset of the Nephthys. The one Nephthys. Mind you, this secret pack has 6 featured URs, and the split is 5-1 in favor of voiceless. Yet, we pulled a playset of the Nephthys before a playset of any given voiceless card. We don't have Diviner. That's kind of part of the problem. We do not have Diviner. Diviner is going to be something that we crafted. Okay, we got a UR. And it's a low. Okay, so that... That wasn't horrible, all things considered. It was 6 URs. We got 2 voiceless URs. We did get some stuff we can dismantle. So we have 3 of the 15 voiceless URs that we need after spending 3,000 gems. At this rate, we are going to run out of gems, which I'm really trying not to do. Are we going to open one more 10-pack and see how it goes? I think we are. Okay, only 1 UR is not great here. This 10-pack needs to have more than 1 voiceless UR that we need in order for me to consider continuing to open these. I mean, overall, these gems have not been poorly spent. For the number of URs that we've gotten, it's not been bad. The Relentless Gambler, yeah, really, those skip luck. I tend to have better luck when I don't skip, personally. Plus, I think it's more fun. I do, if I'm not streaming or recording, I do tend to skip when I'm opening packs, but for the content, you know? We'll open them one at a time. Pendaloo Moon. That's funny. I like that name. If nobody sees it, it didn't happen. Black Mass. I'm not familiar with that movie. I'm not familiar with a lot of movies, though. Honestly, I'm not... It's not even that well, I don't know. My whole thing with not watching a lot of movies kind of comes down to, if I watch a movie, I want to give it my full attention, but I'm so often like playing a game or something while I'm watching stuff that I just end up watching a lot of YouTube or stuff I've already seen. I like a good crime drama movie. Alright, again, we're looking for at least 2 voiceless URs in this 10-pack for me to consider continuing to open, which it doesn't look like is going to be the case. We do have a guaranteed UR in the last pack, but I don't think we're going to get another one before that. Alright, let's see what's in here. Oh my god, it's not even on the right side of the pack, rip. Wow, we pulled a Mimighoul card. Not even in the selection pack. That's really funny. Oh. Mimighoul's really cheap. It's only 4 URs and I own 1 of them now. I don't think we're gonna build Mimighoul today, but I'll probably hang on to this for a little bit. I'm not going to dismantle, I don't think, anything I pulled just yet, because I don't really need to, but... Yeah, I mean, like I said, I cannot continue to justify spending gems at this rate. It's looking like even, you know, even at 10,000 gems, we wouldn't pull everything we really needed to. So I'm going to hold off for now, which is... I really wanted... I really wanted to build voiceless today. That makes me wish I would have pulled from the selection pack instead to try to go for Crystron, but oh well. It is what it is. We can get this gift box clear. I don't like leaving stuff in the gift box. I know if you leave it in there too long, it expires, and I always get paranoid about the fact that that can happen. Okay, what should we do now? We are done with the event climb. Should we do the tier list? Another build and play. I'm debating if I want to do another build and play or if I want to do a tier list. Because I did set up a folder so that way I could do not just any old tier list, but I actually have 100 different decks in this folder. So it would be 100 deck tier list, but I kind of want to do a little more gaming, to be honest. I know, 100, yeah. Well, because I put the idea in my own head of like, oh, we could do you know, a tier list of like every archetype ever, and 100 actually still isn't even close to every archetype ever, but I'm like 100 covers I think just about everything that would be meta relevant, but watch me forget something. Watching you open 4 packs to get more than one UR makes you feel like Konami is against me. I won't deny that I personally have above average luck when it comes to pulls across the board. Remember that only engine deck? Oh, you know what? It's not only engine, but I do kind of want to do a build and play for Primite Feedsmith. Like the control deck. Maybe we should do that. $100 is going to be a 2-hour long video, even if you spend less than 2 minutes talking. I know. That's what's kind of daunting. Is like the idea of that. Well, you know what? I don't know. That actually kind of makes me want to do it on stream a little bit more, though, because it is going to take so long. The thing is, I just can't get... I want to involve chat, but I feel like if I get too lost talking to chat, it's going to be like an even longer video. Decisions. Normally I would leave it up to a poll, but I honestly kind of like... This is something that I kind of want to decide because it's really going to dictate the rest of the stream here. You know what? I think we're going to do the tier list. Yeah, let's do the tier list. So let me get that set up here. Tier list maker. I could also edit the ranking 100 master duel decks. I'm gonna switch up the title for the streams here. There we go. Alright, we can do tier list. Presentation mode. We switch up the names here. I'll switch over the screen in a second. 100 different archetypes tier list. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. I'm actually gonna separate rogue into 2 tiers for this one. I'm gonna do upper rogue and lower rogue. We full screen that. All right. Oh no, I can't upload that many files? Hang on. I can't drop that many images. Okay, what if I do not a single use tier list? It's gonna turn to 5 hours because I'll spend at least 5 minutes talking about generator. That's good. Okay, let me go to create public template. Oh, I gotta log in. I do have a login for this site. I just don't remember which email address I did it with. Okay. Make a template. Make my own template. Create public template. Master duel 100 decks. Do I have to pick a category? I will. Fine. Okay, yeah, so this says max of 500. This shouldn't be a problem. I was going to say, I've definitely seen tier lists that... Oh, I have to reduce file size. Oh, 50 megabytes at a time. Ha! It would help if I read. Okay, maybe I can do that on the single-use tier list then. Hang on. Let me try this again. I was going to say, I've definitely seen tier lists with like 100 images. Okay, so... Now we'll do these. And there we go. Okay. All right. Let me actually count and make sure I got all 100 here. 1, 2, I'm just going to count the rows. I'm not going to count each individually, but... Oh, let me also switch over to... Hang on. There we go. Okay. Yeah, let me make sure I got all 100 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 times 5 is 85, and then this would be 17 minus 2 is 15, and 85 plus 15 is 100. So we have all of the archetypes here. Okay. All right. All right, let's get into it. Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So this is going to be a tier list unlike any I've done before. I've always asked about why certain decks aren't featured on various tier lists, usually because I only feature upwards of 25 to 30. But this time around, I went further to 100 different archetypes featured on this tier list. So for this one, we're going to separate it into, I usually do 4 tiers. We're going to do 5 this time. We have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then upper and lower rogue. So here is how the different tiers are separated. Tier 1, of course, is going to be the best of the best decks in this current format, with tiers 2 and 3 being mainstays. You're going to see a lot on ladder, just not quite as powerful as tier 1. Tier 2 is going to be a lot of stuff that keeps up with various formats more often than not, whereas tier 3 tends to be newer decks or decks that are tending to fall more out of a given meta. Now, rogue I have separated into both upper and lower rogue. Upper rogue is going to be decks that you will tend to see more often, of course, than the lower rogue decks. Not quite worthy of being tiered, but you'll still see them get a tournament top or, you know, Master 1 from time to time on various sites. Lower rogue is going to be decks that might have a chance of competing, but is going to require a lot more of a dedicated pilot slash a little bit more of a luck factor when it comes to doing well. Now, I will say, I don't have every single deck here. I did go out of my way to look at various like ranked sites and get all the ones that I thought were super relevant, but there is going to be inevitably some that I forgot. I'm looking at chat here because we are live on stream right now as well. And yeah, Goaty, I did forget Goaty. That is one right off the bat. I knew there was going to be at least one rogue deck that I forgot there, but that doesn't mean Goaty is not worthy of being here. That doesn't mean it's worse than all of these other decks. It just means that I forgot it. So if you're noticing an archetype that you really like that's not here, it's probably why it's not here more than anything else. So, all right. This is going to definitely be a longer video, so I'm going to try to go more quickly. I'm not going to go too in-depth, but I might end up adjusting things around on the list as I go, as I change my mind and stuff. but I'm going to initially place everything on my first gut instinct. If chat tends to disagree with me, then we'll definitely, of course, consider even more moving it. By the way, for folks who are watching on YouTube, if you're interested in joining the fun for our live streams, consider either subscribing here on YouTube to get notifications here, or if you'd rather watch on Twitch, you can go to twitch.tv/hexlexlive and follow or subscribe over there. I do multi-stream, so whichever your preferred platform is, you can watch. Also, here on YouTube, if you want to join as a member, you can see the VODs early, as well as edited videos early. Twitch subscribers also get to see the VODs early. The reason that I kind of make the VODs private at first is because I tend to record YouTube content on stream, so then after the YouTube content is made public, the VOD goes public. Alright, anyway, now that we are done with that, we're going to get right on into it. Ancient Gear, my first inclination is to actually put it in Upper Rogue. It's going to probably end up towards the lower end of the spectrum, but I really don't think it's that bad of a deck. Blue Eyes, I'm going to put in Tier 1. I think this is definitely one of the best decks of the format. Primite Blue Eyes is not only good right now, but even going into Raizio Malice format, it might fall off a little bit in terms of power level, but it'll still be quite good. DDD, I'm going to put into Lower Rogue for the time being. This deck does get more support in the future. However, one thing I will say is that even with that new support, it is still very prone to the same sort of weaknesses as a long-form combo deck. That's going to be the stuff like Maxi, Fuolo, Stroll and Lockbird, Nib, that sort of hand trap. Alright, Snake Eye, do I even really need to say it? It's a Tier 1 deck. It's just the best deck of the format. I will talk about other Snake Eye variants here when they come up. Like I do have Fire King as well as Azamina somewhere in here. You know what? As long as I'm talking about it right now, let's do it right now. So I have Hallowed Azamina here. This is to represent Azamina Snake Eye specifically. Again, Ponix is somewhere in here to represent Fire King, but for Snake Eye Ash, this is going to represent Millennium Fiendsmith Snake Eye, which I do think is the best deck of the format. Azamina Snake Eye, I think, is good, but I'm going to be real. I think the Azamina variant is Tier 2. I think it's probably one of the better Tier 2 decks, but this is something I get a lot of flack for in the YouTube comments for saying that Millennium is the best variant. But if you look at not only the current top 10 rating duel decks for Season 41, or I guess the previous seasons, but if you look back at the previous couple of seasons as well, all of the Snake Eye decks you're going to see in there are the Millennium variant. You don't see any Azamina variants up there. And honestly, that's kind of been the case ever since these cards came out. I don't think Azamina Snake Eye is a bad deck, but I gotta put it at upper Tier 2, because I think it actually is a significant step down from even Blue Eyes and other Tier 1 decks. It's really just more prone to getting hand trapped. You know what, actually, I talked myself into putting it at the bottom of Tier 1. We're gonna leave it here for now. But I really don't think it's better than not only Millennium Snake Eye, but even other Tier 1 decks, just because of how much more prone it is to hand traps. But I'll leave it here for the time being. Crystal Beast is a lower rogue deck. I'll put it below DDD. Crystron, this is going to be one of the new decks from the latest selection pack. I'm going to put it in upper rogue. I think that this is like pretty close to being a Tier 3 deck. I will say when K9 comes out, probably next year at this rate, it moves up to maybe even being a Tier 3 deck, even at that current meta, but yeah, we're going to leave it in upper rogue for the time being. Endymion is one of a few Pendulum decks I have on here. I'm going to put this one, I'll put it in lower rogue, but it is a pretty good deck. Same with Fur Hire. I'll put this one, I think it's about comparable to DDD. Most often played as the Runic Sprite variant. Kashtira, I'm going to put in upper rogue, a little bit below Crystron even. As always, I think that Kashtira's biggest weakness is its lack of consistency. Sprite, as much as I would love to put Sprite in Tier 2, I'm going to put it in Tier 3. The deck is better than I expected it to be in this meta, which I am very grateful for. That is able to keep up. I was a little worried that even after everything got unhit, it was just going to continue to be a rogue deck. But no, Sprite has been a pretty successful deck, I think, in this current metagame. I think it's upper Tier 3. I really want to put it in Tier 2, but I don't think it quite meets that power level. So yes, to answer your question, Yazi Maris, I am ranking more based on power level as opposed to popularity. when I am factoring in the power level of the deck, I am keeping the pilot in mind, but I keep that in mind more for the individual ranking, right? So again, if I'm putting a deck in upper or lower rogue, I'm not saying these decks are like always going to be worse. I think with the right pilot, they could be, you know, a deck that reaches Master 1. Like, if I made Tier 1 every deck that can reach Master 1, then honestly, all 100 of these decks would be here. Because I think with the right pilot, any of these decks have a shot of making it. But that's then where I kind of, you know, differentiate it by power level. So, alright, so next deck that we have here is going to be Infernoble, which I'll put in Upper Rogue. I think a little bit below Kashtira between Ancient Gear. It's a long-form combo deck that's pretty good, but it does have the weaknesses of a lot of long-form combo decks. Thunder Dragons, I am going to put towards the top of Lower Rogue. I like the deck, but it's really not that strong, even with multiple Colossus. Dark Magician is definitely going to go in Lower Rogue, but it actually isn't really that bad of a deck. I'm going to put it like... I think it's about... Like, Primite definitely helps this deck quite a bit. You know what? Enough so that I'll put it above for higher. Runic. So this is mostly going to be... It's funny, because I want to say Runic Stun and Runic Bestial, but those are both very different decks. I looked through the data a little bit as I was putting this together, and I will be real, most of the Runic decks out there are Runic Stun, so that's the main way I'm going to be evaluating it. I'm willing to put this at the lower end of Upper Rogue. I also evaluate Stun without Runic separately, and I think actually, you know what, as long as I'm talking about it, I might as well rank it. I think it is actually a little bit better, funnily enough, without the Runic stuff. The Runic stuff, because I even played against Runic Stun very recently, on stream even, and I think the Runic stuff just dilutes the Stun game plan too much. Like, milling people and drawing a bunch of cards is really cute, but I think at the end of the day, you really do just want to focus on, like, locking them out if that's the kind of game plan that you're going to end up going for, right? So, yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it, is right here, with the Runic Stun variants a little bit lower than the non-stun variants. Yeah, okay. Subterror is a very, very cool deck. I'm thinking more of like the control variant as opposed to just like stun that plays 3 Guru. I'm going to put it in lower Rogue, but I think it's like pretty comparable with Primite Dark Magician in terms of both controllability and power level. So I'll put it a little bit lower, but I think these are pretty much like equal. Cyber Dragon actually did see a pretty nice buff recently with the release of Clockwork Knight. I'll put it in Upper Rogue for sure. This one, I'll put it a little bit above Runic Stun. I think that's fair. Meridsis, I think I'm going to put this in the upper end of Lower Rogue as well. Like somewhere in this neighborhood. Now, Argo Stars, I think, is actually an Upper Rogue deck. Maybe, yeah, you know what, I'll put it above Runic Stun. I do think regular Stun is above some of these other decks here, but Argo Stars we've seen have success even in recent Challenger Cups. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a Challenger Cup where this got second place, so don't sleep on this deck. It's better than a lot of you probably think. Chimera. Now we're getting into a deck where I kind of want to put this at the bottom of 2. No, I'll put this towards Upper Rogue. I think it's pretty comparable with Crystron. I'll put it right here. Dinomorphia is also an Upper Rogue deck that I'll put right here. Eldritch, I think, is honestly just going to be a Lower Rogue deck. I don't know. I want to put it even lower than Subterror stuff, because, like, when you think about what Eldritch does that other back row decks, you know, don't, there's not a lot. Like, Eldritch has a lot of recursion ability, which when Master Duel first came out, made it the standout back row deck for that reason. But you look at stuff like Argo Stars and Runic and Labyrinth and Subterror to an extent, right? Like, recursion for back row decks is now the norm. So Eldritch is not really special, and when you compare how Eldritch recycles as opposed to other decks, it's not nearly as efficient. I think Eldritch is getting some follow-up support, but it's going to have to be pretty solid to break out of Lower Rogue. Adamantipator. I gotta put Adamantipator down here with like Ancient Gear, Cyber Dragon, Argo Stars, which might sound really surprising. I know that to a lot of TCG players, Curious dump Block Dragon to set up a board of Appaloosa, Baron, Borreload is like really scary sounding, but it's also incredibly easy to stop, right? Like think about a lot of decks that are like tiered in this meta, right? The reason those decks are powerful is because they have a lot of really strong one-card combo lines that can push through hand traps. A lot of Adamantipator's lines are not necessarily one card, and even the one card line that goes into Curious, if that Curious gets hit with Ash Blossom or Effect Veiler or Imperm or Gamma, then you are just done, right? It's not like a lot of tiered decks where it can push through one or even multiple hand traps. A lot of the time it is just kind of a one and done deal. Now, when it pops off, it really does pop off, but yeah, I gotta leave it in upper rogue, even down here towards the lower end. Drytron is going to actually be a very similar story. Same with a lot of these, again, long-form combo decks. We simply Ash the Block Dragon. Droll and Lockbird is another card that really, really hurts Adamantipator. Goblin Biker, I'll put in upper rogue. I think this is a fair spot. Maybe even a little bit above Infernoble. A Goblin Biker, when it goes first, it can put up some fairly impressive boards, but I will say it really does struggle going second pretty badly. Rival Cyberus is here to represent Adagnister, even though this card isn't really played in Adagnister anymore. I'll put it here next to Endymion. These are both kind of the same thing as Adamantipator, Drytron, a lot of these other long-form combo decks that are in Rogue, where, like, when they pop off, yeah, they really pop off, but honestly, they're also really easily stopped by even a single hand trap a lot of the time. Alright, Engraver is here to represent Primite Fiendsmith control, which I'm definitely going to put in Tier 1. And yeah, I'll put it above the Azamina variant of Snake Eye. I really do think Millennium makes all of the difference in the world, because it can put up the number 90 for hand trap insulation, it can put up the zombie vamp for, extension. If you really want to go directly into Snake Eye stuff, you have the option to do that with the Chorozo Banshee line. Yeah, it's so much more valuable. Like, think about Ash Blossom versus, Millennium Fiendsmith Snake Eye versus Azamina Snake Eye. If I know my opponent's on Azamina Snake Eye, I'm going to save Ash Blossom for Mubra Shilago. And if that gets hit, you need, like, a dedicated extender to keep going. But, with the Millennium Snake Eye, if, like, the Millennium stuff gets Ash, well, that's fine, because you just have, like, other options that aren't necessarily, like, your dedicated line, unlike with Azamina. Anyway. Ninja, I'm going to put in lower rogue. I'm going to put it here. It's funny because I have a friend who likes Ninja and Subterra quite a bit. So, like, I think if I'm being honest, Ninja is probably more, like, in this... it might even be the lowest deck so far. I just almost put Ninja next to Subterra because, again, I have a friend who likes both of those decks quite a bit. Okay, Gimmick Puppet, I'll put in upper rogue. And I'll put it, like, somewhere in this neighborhood. It's definitely not a bad deck, but the problem with Gimmick Puppet, I think at the end of the day, is that it's really easy to prepare for it, and it's really easy to counter it as a result. I've discussed this before on previous tier lists. If Gimmick Puppet ever gets too big, we can all just start maining DD Crow and Mass, and then Gimmick Puppet all of a sudden becomes like a washed deck on ladder, so it's always going to have that inherent counter. Mathmech, I love Mathmech, and it really pains me to do this, but I gotta put Mathmech in upper rogue. And I really don't even know if I can put it higher. You know what, I'll put it higher than Chimera, but Mathmech feels like it should still be a tiered deck, because nothing has changed with it, but it really has just fallen out of favor. And we're at a point where even if they unlimit Diameter and Parallel Exceed, it's not going to change Mathmech's position. I think you do play a second Diameter if they put it at 3, but I think you only need the second one. I don't know. It is really good to open alongside Circular, so maybe you could consider a third copy. You obviously always play the third Parallel Exceed, but Mathmech is... it's just not that great, honestly, as it used to be. I mean, it's still a fine deck. It's still a very competitive deck, but again, it feels wrong to have Mathmech in Rogue and not in a tiered category, but yeah, that's where we're at. Lightsworn is a lower rogue deck, I think. I'll put it like here. Blackwing, I'm also going to put in lower rogue, but I'll put it above stuff like Ignister. Empen is a upper... Empen. Fluonderies, rather, is definitely an upper rogue deck. I'll put it like... somewhere in this neighborhood. Feels about right. Unstoppable Exodia. This deck has really fallen off, honestly. I think I gotta put it like... I'll put it maybe somewhere like close to stun, because these decks are very like adjacent to one another. It's just kind of like debatable which one is actually better, because Unstoppable Exodia does end on the spell Trap Negate and the board wipe, but stun is just a lot more focused in what it does. I think Runic Stun is still the lowest thing here. Yeah, I'll leave it like this. I think this is fine. Oh, I love Synchron so much, but this deck is not good. It's just so... It's got the same problem as a lot of these other long-form combo decks. It's just so easily stopped, and doesn't play through hand traps very well. That's a good point that Chad has also made, is that Exodia is also really easy to beat if they don't open a floodgate. Magispector is going to be, I think, a little bit better than Endymion. I think this might be our first upper rogue deck that I'll put a little bit below Runic Stun. Because I think this is a slightly better Pendulum deck between the two, but... yeah. Oh, Virtual World is so washed. Like, yeah, I gotta put it... Virtual World might actually be the lowest ranked deck so far. It's funny how as soon as VFD got banned, this deck stopped doing anything at all. Like, I've seen Ninja a lot more recently than I've seen a dedicated Virtual World deck. Crystron seems kind of low. It's at the top of Upper Rogue. Now, again, when K9 comes out, then I think we can talk about moving Crystron into like tier 3 or maybe even 2, but it's at the top of the Rogue category for now. I think it's a perfectly fine spot for it. Generator, I'll put in lower Rogue. I think it's pretty comparable to something like Blackwing or Cybers. Tier Limits is going to be a tier 3 deck, I think. It's kind of slipping off, though, honestly. Tier Limits is falling off a little bit. Like, there is part of me that, like... You know, okay, I guess to be fair, when I compare Tier Limits to Crystron, I do feel like these decks are about, like, similar power level. Am I going to let you talk me into putting Crystron into tier 3? I think the answer might actually just be yes. If I think Tier Limits is a tier 3 deck, then I think Crystron is also a tier 3 deck. Now, I think they're both at the bottom of tier 3, but... I'm willing to do that. Okay. I'm willing to do that. That's a fair point. Ritual Beast I'm also going to put in tier 3. But I'll put it above some of these other decks. I'll even put it above Sprite. Because I think when piloted effectively, this deck does perform even better than, like, you know, a lot of these other decks here. But I do think that we are coming up in a meta here where, like, even a deck like Ritual Beast, where it is extremely strong when played with the optimal pilot, like, even then, you know, even a suboptimally, honestly, played Snake Eye or Blue Eyes deck is probably still just going to be stronger than Ritual Beast, so... Yeah, I do agree that, like, Mathmech and Chimera feel a little low, but I do think there is a noticeable difference between something like Crystron and something like Mathmech or Chimera. I'd be willing to hear Chimera being a little bit above Mathmech, though. Which, again, I feel kind of sad about saying, but yeah. Melodious, I'll put in Upper Rogue for sure. I'll put it like there. Memento is definitely a tier 1 deck. You know what? With the right pilot, I think Memento is honestly... no, honestly... Listen, this is really close which of these decks is better, Memento or Primite Blue Eyes, but... Primite Blue Eyes is just so strong. You know, Primite Blue Eyes is a deck that is easy to play, but there is always going to be a difference with a skilled pilot. I would not fault anybody for doing it like this. I would not disagree with that at all, but I think I'm going to do it like this. Memento is nowhere near tier 1. I completely disagree with that. Memento with a skilled pilot is an insane deck, and if you look at, like, the OCG metagame, even when Ryziel and Malice were, like, at their most rampant and hadn't really been hit by the ban list yet, Memento was, like, still the, like, 4th best deck in that given format. It really did go, like, Ryziel, then Malice, then Primite Blue Eyes, then Memento. Not very far behind Primite Blue Eyes, mind you. So I don't think it's a stretch at all to call Memento a tier 1 deck right now. Now, this is one of those decks, like Ritual Beast and a lot of other decks we'll talk about, where in an average player's hands, yeah, I would call Memento a tier 2 deck. But again, we're factoring in these decks being played optimally. And when played optimally, I think Memento is absolutely tier 1. It's funny how we don't have anything in tier 2 yet, but we'll get there. Alright, next up we have Ice Barrier, which is a deck I like a lot, but you never see anymore because it's not really that great at the end of the day. This one is like borderline upper and lower rogue. I think this might be the new bottom of upper rogue for me. Exo Sister is definitely an upper rogue deck. I'm gonna put it, I think it's like pretty comparable to like Gimmick Puppet Flaundery's power level. This is Materiactor. I don't fault you for not recognizing this art, but this is Materiactor, which I did shit talk pretty heavily in the initial reveal video, and I'll kind of stand by that. I think Materiactor is not a good deck really at all. But I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's better than Virtual World. I'm actually struggling to say if I think it's better than Ninja or Crystal Beast. I don't think it's better than DDD. I can't put Materiactor higher than here. But I don't even... Yeah, blah. It can play Tenpai. So here's the thing, right? I'm kind of evaluating Materiactor as its own archetype, and Materiactor is good at setting up any other archetype, but like that's the best thing Materiactor do is go into other archetypes. that's like the best thing you can do with Materiactor is lay it up into any other deck. And when it comes to engines that are good starters for literally any given deck right now, you know, there's one that kind of has got a lot of others beat out, funnily enough. So yeah, I could leave Materiactor down here at the end of the day. This is True Draco, which I will put down here. I think Eldritch might be a little bit high. No, that's fine. I'll leave it like this. Kairyu Shen, aka Yumi, quote-unquote control. Ooh, this is actually kind of a difficult one for me. It's definitely lower than all of these. I want to put it right here. I'm going to leave it right here for now. Lab, we have our first tier 2 deck. Lab is an easy tier 2. And Lab is just going to be in tier 2 for the foreseeable future, I think. Because here's the thing about Labyrinth is that it's always going to be able to keep up. Because the cards are standalone good value and good recursion, and they care about normal traps, and you can always adjust a Labyrinth deck to either put in more powerful normal trap cards as they get released over time, or you can always just pick a normal trap that counters the meta that you're in specifically. So I can see a world where Lab is like an eternal tier 2 deck. Makonko, I'm gonna put in upper rogue. I think it's pretty comparable to like Exo, Flu. For higher in upper rogue, you think it's better than Ice Barrier? Where do I have it? I have it down here. This might be a little low for higher. I don't know if I'm willing to put it in upper rogue, but I'm at least willing to slide it up a little bit in lower rogue. I do agree that was probably a little bit low. Sword Soul Tenyi. When was the last time you played against a Sword Soul deck? God, I really can't even tell you the last time I played against a Sword Soul deck. The problem with Sword Soul is that it doesn't do enough anymore. Like, you know, I can't really justify comparing it to a lot of these upper rogue decks. And even when I compare some of these, you know, decks on the lower end of upper rogue, I'm like, these decks, at least when they pop off, do a lot. If Sword Soul pops off, it's just gonna be like Chi-Shao Baron, you know? It's like, it pains me to put Sword Soul down here, but I have to. Yeah, I'll leave it like somewhere in this neighborhood. Because, like, Thunder Dragon and Kyryu Shin can at least put up some pretty good floodgate effects, but, like... Alright, next up we have Skull Servant, which I love this deck. I adore it. I'll at least put it higher than VW. Because, like, I keep thinking about VW, and I'm like... When was, like... I know I just said this about Sword Soul, but Sword Soul, I can at least tell you I did play against within the last couple of months. Legitimately, when is the last time you saw a VW deck? When is the last time you saw a VW deck? I gotta put Skull Servant. I think I'm willing to put Skull Servant higher than a pure Materia Actor deck as well. Alright, next up we have Madolche, which I think is pretty comparable to some of these decks like Ice Barrier and Magispector. I think Madolche has a lot of legs, but it also has a lot of issues. But here's the thing, I think Madolche is at least a little bit slept on in this format, because Glassiflay is inherently good against any graveyard-based strategy, which there is a lot of going around right now. So, yeah, don't sleep on Madolche. It's got inherently good plays into this current metagame, I think. Okay, we have Dino as represented by Misk. I'm gonna put Dino in, like, the upper end of Lower Rogue. Tenpai, I'll put in tier 2. Hurley, I'll put, like, right here. I'll even put it a little bit above Kashtira, I think. Red Dragon Archfiend deck. I think it's pretty comparable to Blackwing in terms of power level. Dragon Maid. When Dragon Maid gets new support, it'll definitely be a lot better, but for the time being, I gotta put it, like, down here somewhere, I think. Yeah, I think, like, here is fine. Tune, lol Tune. Is this actually gonna be the new lowest deck? Or am I gonna put, no, I'll put Tune at the bottom. That is kind of why I included Tune in this tier list, is just to have something I could easily stick at the bottom. The best Tune deck is an Auroradon Turbo deck, as Meeps has shown us, Meeps VT. Super Heavy Samurai decks are, I think, pretty comparable to stuff like Adamancipator and Drytron, but yeah, I think I'll put them right around this category. Ubel. Ubel is definitely going to be a tier 2 deck. I'll put it at the lower end of tier... I say definitely. Yeah, I'll leave it right here for now. I'll leave it at the bottom of tier 2. Sleeping Nimlaria, that's definitely going to be a lower rogue deck. Dark Magician is kind of becoming one of my new waypoints. Like, do I think this deck is better than Dark Magician? I think the answer is probably no. I'll put it down here. Paleo is an upper rogue deck for sure. Honestly, with a skilled pilot, I'll put it somewhere up here. I think that's a fair spot. Prank Kids. Oh, I miss Prank Kids so much, but they just do not do enough at all anymore. It's like gotta be like down in this category for them. So sad. Centurion, I'll put in tier 3. I think they're a little bit better than stuff like Tier Limit or Crystron in the Grand. Maybe more like that. Excuse me. Sky Striker, I'll put in upper rogue. Probably somewhere in this neighborhood. This definitely changes with time. When Sky Striker gets its support that it has in the OCG right now, it definitely becomes at least tier 3, if not tier 2. Lyrilusk, I gotta put, you know, down here with the other washed stuff. Phantom Knight is not quite as washed as some of these other decks from back in the day. I'm willing to put that, like, up here. Trap Tricks is definitely an upper rogue deck. Somewhere like comparable to, like, Dynamorphia, I think. I love Tri-Brigade. Actually, okay. Is this pure Tri-Brigade or Tri-Brigade Sprite? I have Shurig represented here, so... but Tri-Brigade Sprite plays Shurig sometimes. I'll call this Tri-Brigade Sprite. For Tri-Brigade Sprite, I'll put that in upper rogue. Like, somewhere in this territory. Tistina. Lol, Tistina. Although it is still better than some of these other decks on here. I think this is a fair spot for it. When was the last time you've seen Numeron? There's so many better going second decks that, like... I think, honestly, at this rate, even Skull Servant is a better going second deck than Numeron. Lower Rogue is literally a Hard Legs ladder climbing playlist. That's really funny. Vanquish Soul. Now don't get it mistaken. Vanquish Soul in paper play is right here right now, but we're not quite there in Master Duel yet. But I think Vanquish Soul right now is definitely still an upper rogue deck. Like somewhere around this category, I think. But believe me, once we get Holy Sue and K9, actually just the best deck in the format. Here we go. Here's Ryuge. I'll definitely put this in upper rogue. I think it's pretty comparable to, like, Argo Stars. Unchained, I'll put in upper rogue. That's a good spot for it. Yeah, that's fine. Speedroid, I gotta put in a lower rogue, but it's really not that bad of a deck. I think it's, yeah, pretty comparable to Blackwing and RDA. Live Twin. This is more Live Twin Fiendsmith than Sprite, because I do think that is actually just the stronger of those two decks right now. So I'll put it in upper rogue. Yeah, right here is fine. Musket I'll also put in upper rogue, because Fiendsmith really did a lot for this deck, but I still think it's, like, somewhere in this category. Rescue Ace. Oh, this is a tough one. Because nobody plays this deck. So that's what makes it really hard to evaluate. I think this deck is actually still good. It's just that nobody plays it. So where am I going to put it? I think this is a fine spot for it. IQ game, I don't think it belongs in upper, definitely a lower rogue deck. I don't know. I could see that. But... okay, maybe... I don't know, yeah. I'm actually kind of thinking about it right now. Like, I could see, like, these four decks in particular being maybe a little bit better than Ryuge, and maybe by extension some of these decks up here. Like, maybe we do just need... I think Dino and Phantom Knight go above these. I think Sword Soul... no, I think... no, I do think Sword Soul probably goes above these as well. I'll leave it like this for now. Oh, Manadium. I really, really like this deck, but I can't put it in upper rogue. It's pretty comparable to Sword Soul, honestly. As far as just being an outdated deck. Novelis. I'll put this in lower rogue as well. But it's a little bit higher than you might think. I think it's honestly... I think it's somewhere in this neighborhood. Shark is, I think, actually an upper rogue deck. I'll put it, yeah, I'll put it like here next to like Argo Stars and stuff. Hero is absolutely an upper rogue deck. I'll put it, it's going a little bit higher than I thought it would, but I'm comparing it to these decks in my head, and I'm like, yeah. I think it's somewhere in this neighborhood. I think Infernoble might be a little bit low. Put it above, like, Makonko and stuff. I think I might have missed Pen Magicians. I think you're right. Oh, I did miss Pen Magicians. You're absolutely right. Pen Magicians would be... probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like Drytron, Super Heavy Samurai, Unchained. I'd probably put it like over here somewhere. Galaxy Tachyon, I'll put in lower rogue. Like here I think is fine. Mimighoul. Oh, this is a good question. Where do I think Mimighoul? Do I think Mimighoul is better than Ryuge? I think they're pretty comparable. In terms of power level. I'm actually gonna do this. This. How about even put... No, I think Musket's a little better than Madolche. I kind of want to put Mimighoul right here. Need a middle rogue section? Honestly, wouldn't be a horrible idea. I usually do kind of separate it in my head into upper and middle rogue. I probably should have done that. Middle rogue would probably be like... Would probably be like from Exodia to Blackwings. Would be middle rogue, I would say. Sue Ship is definitely going to be a lower rogue deck. Yeah, it's somewhere in this category. Voiceless, I think, is a tier 2 deck for sure. Maybe even a little... I'll put it a little bit below Ubel, actually. Salamangreat is an upper rogue deck. That I think goes probably somewhere in... like this neighborhood. Dragon Link goes more in like this neighborhood. Union is definitely a lower rogue deck. I'll put it like right here. Punk, I think is actually a tier 3 deck. I think Sprite's a little bit better, but I think Punk is actually really good right now. I'm biased, but I think Madolche is better than Mimighoul. I could see that being the case in the long term. I think they're pretty comparable, like, in terms of power level. I mean, especially in these rogue tiers, as these get full, it's really easy to look at these and be like, well, Madolche is so much further down than, like, Salamangreat. But really, I think Salad is only a little bit better than something like Madolche, right? I think Punk is tier 2. I could see an argument for that, honestly. When Punk goes first, in particular, this deck feels, like, unstoppable. And it's not that bad when going second, either. Okay, do I think Punk is better than Sprite? Or rather, do I think Sprite is actually better than Punk, or is this my bias? Let me think about that for a moment. I think I'm willing to call Ritual Beast better. I don't know, actually. I might do this. You know what? I might actually let you talk me into that. Three E-Telly, the extra extender is very nice. I'll leave it like this for now. You've successfully talked me into putting Punk into tier 2. Speaking of tier 2, I'm going to skip... You know what? I won't skip Atria. I'll just put it in. This is Atria Runic is mostly what I'm thinking about here, and I think it's pretty comparable to stuff like this. Speaking of tier 2, though, I'll put Fire King Snake Eye towards the bottom of tier 2, because this deck is still really good. You don't see it a lot. This, I think, even more than Rescue Ace, is probably the current poster child for actually really good deck that you just don't see people play a lot of the time, is Fire King Snake Eye. Fire King Snake Eye, when piloted well, is, I think, better than these tier 3 decks here. And I think that's the reason why you see Fire King Snake Eye less often than the other Snake Eye variants, is that it is the hardest to pilot. And also because it's, even when piloted optimally, I do still think it is going to be weaker than these other tier 2 decks, and it is going to be weaker than the other Snake Eye variants. Although I will say, I'm going to move Azamina Snake Eye down to tier 2, because I do think that Lab is better than it. But I don't think Lab is a tier 1 deck. Where would Horus go? I think Near Exodia is a pretty good assessment. TG, another deck that I love. Another deck that's just really not that great. Where's Synchron? Yeah, Synchron's here, because TG is definitely worse than Synchron right now. I'll put TG in this category. Alright, we're actually almost about done here. We got White Forest, which I'll definitely put in tier 2. above UBEL. We have Mermail Atlantean, which I am going to put in tier 3. I definitely slept on this deck slightly. I will say that I threw out the caveat every time I called this deck Rogue. I did throw out the caveat that this is probably, that it might be a tier 3 deck, but I just wanted to see if it survived the new pack hype. And I think it did. I think it did survive the new pack hype. I'm definitely willing to call Mermail a tier 3 deck. And I do think that it is honestly on par with, if not a little stronger than stuff like Tyr, Centurion, and Crystron. Rika Sun Avalon is definitely going to be an upper rogue. It's not a deck you see a lot, but I think is still pretty good. I mean, you know, we have Warrior Link, and this is definitely Plant Link. I'll put it like somewhere in this neighborhood. I'll put it like here, actually. Valmonica. I'll put Valmonica like here. I think it's fine. Scareclaw, I love Scareclaw, but I gotta put it in lower rogue, unfortunately. You think it's like near ninja bad? I don't think Valmonica's quite that bad. I guess you know what? I'll say it's like somewhere around here. I don't think it's quite like ninja level. And somehow Branded Despia ended up being the last one. And you know what? If this deck is not the top of tier 2, I kind of want to put it in tier 1. Honestly, I might even do like that. Again, this tier list is going off of like an optimal pilot. Nah, you know what? I'll do it like that. I think that's fine. Listen, I think even before Branded Fusion went to 2, this deck was just tier 1 in a optimal pilot's hands. And what really made me think that was looking at the Season 41 top 10 rating duel decks, because not only did Branded get first place, but Branded had multiple showings in top 10s. And again, if you look at top 10 rating duel decks for recent seasons, Branded is always there. And Branded only got stronger with the second Branded Fusion, getting more consistent and also having more easy of a time with its grind game. So here it is. I'm going to take a screenshot of this real quick too. This is the tier list, and I'm going to give it one glance over here to make sure that I still like where everything's at, but I think I am pretty comfortable with how this ended up shaking out. What do you all think? You think Branded can outplay UBEL with the best pilots? Absolutely. No doubt in my mind about that. Branded pilots are on a whole other level when they're playing this deck optimally. Okay. Yeah, I like where this is at. I think this looks pretty good to me. Virtual World is so low, but I can't deny it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, when was the last time you saw Virtual World do anything? Again, there were a few things that I missed, as chat pointed out, but I think I covered pretty much at least 95% of what you could reasonably expect to run into on Ranked Ladder. But definitely feel free to let me know what you think in the comments below as well. If you're watching over on YouTube, I think this is where we're going to end things off. So thanks so much for watching. But of course, if you're with us live on stream, we're going to be going for at least a little bit longer here. So again, YouTube folks, thanks again. Appreciate you watching, especially if you watched this whole video and actually sat through it and didn't skip till the end to just see where I put everything. But even if you skip to the end to see where I put stuff, I still appreciate that, because it means you were interested enough to click and see what I thought. So thank you for your viewership either way. That's going to do it for now, though. We're going to move on to our outro. But again, for the stream, I think we'll keep going for at least a little bit longer. I'm not going to go nearly as long as I did yesterday. Yesterday I streamed for 5.5 hours. I think I'll go for maybe at least 30 more minutes, 30 to 60, half hour to hour, somewhere in that neighborhood. But UBEL's a bit high. I think this is a fine spot for Ubel. I could see an argument of it being a little bit below voiceless, but I think that's fine enough. Lab is a bit high. I think Lab, when played optimally, is just a very, very scary deck. Again, that's the thing that like I'm keeping in mind for this tier list, is that these are all played optimally. And like, yeah, that whole thing. Lab just like, yeah, Lab when played well, like Branded and Lab are like very much decks that like are, when played with an average pilot, are probably like towards the lower end of tier 2, maybe upper tier 3, but again with an optimal pilot, just gets a huge power boost, I think. I feel like the rogue tiers could each be split into 2. Honestly, yeah. Like, I could have done upper rogue, middle rogue, lower rogue, and casual. I think that would be a pretty fair argument. Alright, I'm gonna swap back over to Master Duel. And I might do just a little bit of ranked laddering. I'm trying to figure out what I want to play with. I don't really feel like doing another build and play. I think I'm just gonna play some Sprite. What are your thoughts on the adventure engine right now? I mean, the problem with the adventure engine right now, I think more than anything else, is that it just eats too much board space. Like, the fact that you have to have the token eating one of your main monster zones actually really matters, because if you try to go adventure engine and then combo, you're very limited in what you can do. But even if you go combo then adventure engine, it's like, how feasible is that, you know? I love your WCQ and Duels Cup rants about having a qualifier being a 72-hour street hardcore guy. Absolutely ridiculous. If you love my thoughts on it, you should check out Out of Character's video, which you've probably already seen if you have that same mentality that I do. But the Duels Cup is a war crime video by Out of Characters. Is a phenomenal watch. Out of Characters is a great channel. Phenomenal channel in general. Highly recommend. 60 card sprites with Mutant as an extra engine. I've played Mutant and Sprite before. I liked it. It was fun. I don't think I really want to change anything about this list here. We're just going to run it. Yeah, again, that's Out of Characters. Spelled like it sounds. Just the words Out of Characters. What's your favorite YouTuber that isn't you? Well, I'm definitely not my own favorite YouTuber. I can tell you that right now. No, that's not true. Very occasionally I'll go back and rewatch one of my old videos, but even then that's just usually just to like see what my build was like, or like get a gauge for my presentation. I don't really ever sit down and watch my own content. Definitely not. Who is my favorite YouTuber? I'm trying to think. That's a good question. Like, who do I watch most often? Also, it's Mimighoul. I think I might... Should I negate this, or should I let it resolve and then drool? I think I'm going to let it resolve and then drool. Because I think I'd rather Ash Blossom the spell card that summons to my field. Also, I know this deck does a fair amount of searching, so... Well, maybe not a fair amount, but enough. I think Droll's worth it here. Also, I was just going to say, Droll can bait out Call By, but they have Cross Out as well, so this also works for us. Hey, Sally! Thanks for the good luck wishes. I really appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Here we go. Should I ash this or should I ash the thing they serve? I'm gonna just ash this. Hopefully I don't regret this. If they have it, they have it. I probably should have ashed the maker, yeah. Because they could just have it in hand. I just didn't want them to, like... Yeah, I should just wait for maker. There's kind of no reason not to. Okay. That special summons a monster that lets them draw and then I send. Okay. Yeah, I'll just go. Oh, that's right. I have to. That's right, because of the field spell, right? Cannot normal summon monsters, nor can declare an attack with monsters that were special summoned. Okay, so I think I do have to flip these up. That's fine. I'll let them special summon from their deck to their field. Let's do this one first. And I'm gonna send Lacrima here. They can't summon a disruption, that's good to know. Okay, I figured it was probably gonna be Maker. Maker lets them search. Face down. Okay, this only flips face down monsters face up, not the other way around. That's good. Okay. Maxi! Oh no! Oh, rip! Well, that sucks. I'm trying to think if I can... Oh, I mean, we could Shadow Mosquito OTK. I think that's how we're going to have to do this. Alright, we're going to Shadow Mosquito OTK. Let's get the red online. Alright, we're gonna Shadow Mosquito OTK, so I don't need Gamma Burst. I'm gonna start her and get Carrot as well. Actually, oh well, I have to activate it now. That's fine. Yeah, this will work out. Okay, so if I go Boom Boom Sprend, I think that is ultimately worth it. Yeah, because I can at least bait out Disruption. And even if they negate it, like if they negate it, like, I'm not even going to use Red or Carrot here. Actually, I might have to. No, because I can still go into Gigantic with... Okay, yeah, they don't have anything. That's good. Put Gigantic up here. That's unbelievably fine. That is so unbelievably fine. I will not negate that. Alright. Let me go Ronanef. Mosquito! A little mosquito. Beep. Have a counter, Mimigool Dragon. There we go. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Oh, where? What kind of music do you enjoy? I enjoy a lot of different stuff. I honestly, more than anything else, probably listen to anime and game OSTs. But I also really like alt rock. Pretty much any amount of rock that came out in the 90s to today, I probably listened to at least a little bit. I really like certain electronic genres as well. Down tempo. It's funny, there's two genres called down tempo. One is like really ambient, chill electronic music, which is what I'm into. And then there's also a down tempo that's like a metal genre. I'm not a huge metal person. I don't hate it, but I don't really listen to it a lot. But yeah, that's not the kind of down tempo I listen to. We got hit with a max C here. That sucks. I could normal carrot, special blue, special red, give them one draw to have a monster and a spell trap negate. That's probably better than doing nothing. You know what? Actually, we'll give them one draw. We'll go jet, starter, and then carrot on their turn. See, I don't know if I would call myself... It's weird. I don't know whether to call myself an anime fan. I do watch a fair amount of anime, but I'm not like... I don't like keep up with anime. I'm not like... Why did I do that this turn? That's not at all what I intended to do. Because I was yapping. I wasn't paying attention. I was supposed to set that and then flip it up on their turn to not give them a draw. Whatever. We did make it to duels level 20. Yep. And we also ranked all the decks. But, yeah, I don't know. Let me think about this for a second. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. Anime fan is weird because I feel like that's one of those terms that means different things to different people. Oh, they're just gonna go for a drill beam right off the bat. We're feeling dark magician, brutal. On carrot. Well, I would not like my carrot to be banished. I'd rather just give up my jet. I usually end up watching older stuff. It's not that I I'm not opposed to watching a newer series if it catches my interest. I just haven't really had a newer series catch my interest recently. Roar for Dippity, yeah, it's I don't know if it's Jover just yet. We'll red the Requiem and then see what they do. Oh, music. Yeah, I was talking about that too. Yeah. Anime game OSTs, alt rock, down tempo, the ambient chill electronic genre. They really think about this Requiem. This red might be better than I thought it would. That's a large part of what I watch. Did I already say that Radiohead's my favorite band? That's my favorite band. Live performances are just like unbelievable. Do you like the Sonic Mania OST? I'm not a big Sonic person. I don't hate it. I just haven't really played any Sonic games like ever. But I've heard good things about Sonic Mania. I feel like I watched somebody play Sonic Mania once. I know that's the one that's like more like old school. I like that kind of like old school Sonic music. What's your favorite Radiohead album, though? I will be judging. I mean, like, they're all good for different reasons, right? You have to admire Pablo Honey for being, like, okay, I'm not going to go through each of their albums and say what I like about them. If I have to pick just one, My first inclination is to say in rainbows, which is kind of like a... What's like the answer? Well, I don't know. I guess OK Computer is the answer, right? Usually everybody says OK Computer. Well, usually everybody says OK Computer or in rainbows. I think between those two, I like in rainbow. A moon-shaped pool was really good, though. And, like, I think a moon-shaped pool aged pretty well. Are you kidding me again with this shit? Yeah, in Rainbow's Disc 2 is so good in particular. I just adore it. How to Disappear Completely. That song is such a mood. That's just one of those, like, sometimes you just need a song like that. Oh, I should have normal summoned Swap Frog to have my red be live. That was a misplay on my part. That was a pretty huge misplay. You know what? I'm not going to play into this, though. I'll represent Kid A. Thank you for representing Kid A. Because I think Kid A... Okay. If I have to rank Radiohead albums... It's 1 in Rainbows, 2 OK Computer. I don't know. I'm just gonna lose here, aren't I? I don't know if I would put... Ooh. Is number 3 a moon-shaped pool, or is it Kid A? I really like Amnesiac, too. The Kid Amnesiac release that combined those two albums, I think, was like, mwah, chef's kiss. Dark Magician is way brickier than Blue Eyes, as our opponent is demonstrating. Baron de Fleur? That's actually completely... Oh no, it's Chaos Angel? That's also completely fine with me. Oh, they didn't even make it with a light monster. Yeah, Kid Amnesiac. I don't have that yet on vinyl, do I? I got the 20th anniversary of OK Computer on vinyl. They conceded. That was like the funniest conceit in my life, not just because of the game state, but also the fact that I wasn't even paying attention to the game. I was just we're just like yapping about music. I'm like not even playing this duel optimally. That was really funny. I did see the new DM trap card. It is very strong, but I don't think it's quite what DM needed. DM needs consistency tools, but it is very strong. Which Sprite variant do you think is better after testing Pure yesterday? Fiendsmith, but not by a lot. I think it's really close. Legitimately, the main thing that came up for me that made Fiendsmith better is that I didn't like opening Nimble Beaver and Dark Beckoning Beast in the same hand. At least if you open Engraver or Tract with Nimble Beaver, you can make use of both engines. But like, that is a very small thing. That I will admit that is an extremely small thing to like, you know, have an issue with. And that is the biggest issue I could find with Pure over Fiendsmith. So my answer is Fiendsmith, but it's not bad. Do you think Melfies are worth playing? I can't say that I do. I can't say that I do. I think they're really cute, which kind of makes me sad to say that. But the reason that I really can't say that is the main deck slots, right? Like, Sprite could afford them in the past because you didn't have a lot going on in your main deck anyway. Like, legit, there are a lot of times with Sprite where you were, like, looking for things to fill your deck with. This hand is actually a full Sprite combo, believe it or not. But yeah, I think in Pure you have the extra deck space. It's just you don't have the main deck space. I think there's just always better things you can play than the Melfi cards main deck, whether it's hand traps or more extenders or more starters. That's where I justify, or that's where I have a hard time justifying playing Melfis. Is the main deck slots. I would like to cover Tri-Brigade Sprite still, yeah. I just gotta do a little bit of research and see how I want to build the deck. Please don't have anything. I've been playing Alestral's Clash. I've been meaning to get on it, actually. I've been putting together a lot of paper Alestral's decks, which is why I haven't been playing as much Clash lately, but I think in an upcoming stream I want to go like Master Duel and then maybe play a little bit of Alestral's Clash afterward. I was gonna do that today, but I logged into Clash and I didn't see Galaxy Champion of Poseidon was in there yet. So I saw they implemented the ban list, but have they not added the next wave of cards? Because I thought... I knew this was going to happen, something like that. Because I thought that was going to be implemented, like, on the 6th, but... So yeah, whenever they add another wave of cards to Clash, I think we'll take a look at that on stream at some point soon. I think it's fine if they're a little slow. Think about this, right? Or here's at least what I think about. They wanted Clash to be a full release back in March. That game was not ready for a full release back in March at all. So I'm very, very glad that they're taking their time in that regard. I will admit, I do definitely wish that the new cards would come in a little more quickly personally, but I won't rush them too much. Legit. Unlike, you know, we make jokes about Konami being a small indie company, A-Drive is actually just a small indie company, right? A-Drive Alestrals is, so we gotta be a little patient with them. I'm just glad the mass removal format is over. Yeah, now that they've implemented the ban list, I agree for sure. Am I gonna negate this? Yeah, I think I will. I'll imperm this. Outside of Sprite, what are your favorite decks ever? Punk is up there. For paper play, it was Hero. Because I stopped playing... let me think about this. Yeah, I'll Ghost Ogre this because then they can't Sphere mode. Yeah, so I stopped playing paper in 2016. So when I say Hero, I'm not really referring to Combo Wombo Hero like they are now. Back when I played Hero, it was like a very low-to-the-ground sort of, more control deck, right? And I had a lot of fun playing that style of Hero deck. Okay, what do I want to do here? Yep, Hero Beat. I like Hero Beat quite a bit. What do I have? Okay, so I have 3 in the graveyard. If I go Requiem F, well, or rather Engraver F, Let's go, I'll do Requiem's F first. Set Clayman. No, my style was more like normal summon Neos Alias set 4. That kind of thing. With like Hero Blast and Gemini Spark. That deck was so much fun. Only Hero Beat and Wind. I didn't really play wind-ups that much. I played Dino Rabbit during that format. Let me think about what I want to do here. Dino Rabbit was fun. Well, I played Hero Beat more than Dino Rabbit. Dino Rabbit and Hero Beat were kind of the same deck at the end of the day, though. Like, being honest. Am I just going to pivot into Sprint from here? I think the answer is yes. Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure I tried Rescue Rabbit in Hero at one point. Somebody out vanilla Heroes. Oh, we get to chain block Sprint? I didn't even think about that. Okay, we're gonna dump Angler here. Fortune Lady Synchro sounds like a ton of fun. Fortune Lady was one of those decks that I really wanted to work. I really wanted to work, but I just couldn't make it work. Fortune Lady, especially when it came out, like back in like Synchro era, was so great on paper because it had so many draw to effects. Okay, let me think about this for a second. So I can go Requiem. Okay, yeah, let's do it like this. I'm trying to figure out if I can still pivot into Sprite plays. I don't think I can, but let's see. Okay, so I haven't activated Engraver's Graveyard effect. Wait, hang on, I think I actually can pivot into... I think I can actually still go into Sprite plays from here. Two links for an Xyz. Yeah, that might actually be what we do here in a second. We'll get our free removal, though, before we do that. Yeah, I wish Lyrilusk was a little better. Lyrilusk is one of those archetypes where if it just got its own circular, it could put in a lot of work. You know what? I think I'll just make Sequence again. That way I don't have to waste IP or SP. Really hoping their last card isn't like Imperm. Yazi, you have no idea how excited I am for Yummy. As soon as the first wave of Yummy cards got spoiled, I was like, gimme, 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 gimme. Okay, it's Ash Blossom. I'm gonna make so much Yummy content when that comes out in Master Duel. You have no idea. I'm ecstatic for that deck. I could actually still pop off here. Well, not really. I could normal summon Ash Blossom and link into Elf, but I don't have anything good to get back, so I won't. I'll just smack him for 32 and keep the Ash in hand for a follow-up play. I agree, they killed it with Justice Hunters. Justice Hunters and Duelist Advance. Oh, I can Zeus here. Even better. Yeah, because they get the oh no, this is True Light. Okay. Let me think for a second. Because I know they're going to set Wishes or Majesty. I don't really care about either of those graveyard effects, though, right? I'm just trying to think if there's ever a reason to do that. Let me see what they get. They're going to get True Light, I'm pretty sure. Or not True Light. Oh, I thought they were going to go for the spell. Wishes is what I meant to say, but... I guess, to be fair, if they top deck Blue Eyes, that would be really bad for me right here. Okay, we're not going to activate Lacrima yet. Yeah, Justice Hunters and Duelist Advance, they really knocked it out of the park with both of those packs. They're both insanely cool. Okay, I'm going to Zeus now. Oh, I should have detached Requiem. That actually matters. Okay, so they're going to set Lordly Load, and I can Ash Blossom. This actually matters. So I Ash Blossom the Search. They can't Drill Beam, but they can still go into Spheres. Ooh, that's not good for me. Yeah, I had to Zeus there, though, because if I didn't, their trap card would have been live. They just would have threatened to pop my Zeus. You know what I should have done? I think I should have... I don't know. I was going to say last turn I should have waited on the Spirit. Like, I was thinking about maybe using Ghost Rider against Mausoleum, but... what did I end up using it against? I'm trying to remember. Where was it? I Ghost Ogre the other Lordly Load. Yeah, that was worth it. So we're gonna summon Blue Eyes, get the buff with Mausoleum. Wait, can they? This is only... Oh, no, it can target effect monsters. Whoa, April with the raid! Thank you so much for the raid! With 84 people, holy! Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We got Raiders. Thank you. Wow. I hope your stream went well. I hope you're doing well as well. Clumsy GT, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. What's up, April? Everyone go give April a follow. Oh my god, it's been so long since I've since I've done this. I had to give a shout out. But yeah, we're gonna give a shout out to April. Here we go. I think I did that correctly. There we go. If you somehow don't know who April is, she is a fantastic player of many decks, but especially branded. Highly recommend her 20-hour guide to branded. If you're somehow unaware of that video. Thank you so very much for the raid. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we are just doing a little bit of laddering after not only doing the WCQ, but we also did a tier list where it ranked 100 different Master Duel decks, so... the short one. Yeah, April's the best. Definitely go give her a follow. And give her a sub over on YouTube as well. You know, we were talking about favorite content creators earlier, and I never actually followed up on that. I was thinking about who I watch the most often, and April is up there. April is one of the content creators I watch for Yu-Gi-Oh! Most often. MBT is up there. Lithium 2300 is up there. I'm subbed to Scarlon as well. Those I'd say are among my favorite Yu-Gi tubers. Those are definitely the people I watch most often. So very honored to have April come in and raid. Oh, Moha, of course, you cannot forget Moha for the main combo. No, I shout out Moha all the time on YouTube. Moha does give the best guides, I agree. Alright, we got our rank up game. We're going second. Let's see what we got. Let's see how this hand looks. Alright, we got Nib and Imperm. Love to see 2 hand traps. Opponent's on 59 cards? Not 60, but they're on 59. That's interesting. Swap plus Angler is great to open. It's Ryuge. Well, there's some amount of Ryuge in here. A monster sent for the field of the graveyard during your opponent's turn is banished instead, so there's the floodgate. Thankfully, we can send Angler from the hand to the graveyard. Well, I mean, Angler doesn't activate when sent from the field to the... You know what I mean. Okay. Alright, would they summon Lurie? That's fine. Yeah, so this only floodgates them during my turn. Can Ryuge banish your hand? I don't know. think so. I don't think I don't know, actually. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know. I know they make Varudross and they have a Floodgate. And you can also play them with Voiceless because their dude is a light ritual monster. This is fine. Oh, the water monster hand rips? The sea serpent is a Trickstar reincarnation. I see. Good to know. So obviously we're going to want to imperm them before we nib them. I'll imperm the Requiem. And then we'll see if they do anything else. There's no real point toggling here. We're not at 5 summons yet, and I've been passing them priority left and right, so we don't have to try to hide that we have nib. There we go. I'd love to be able to nimperm. I'd love to be able to nib, then imperm. But unfortunately, that is not possible. Actually, would I want to nib before imperm here? I think I would, though. It would give them a tiny token, and we can still just imperm follow-up. I think that'd be... Yeah, I don't know. It's debatable. But that's completely hypothetical anyway. Alright, now I might be giving them information that I have something. Dinosaur monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Okay. So do these search? Do either of these search anything? You gave Pendulum monsters level 10, the original type is Worm. I'm just gonna let that resolve. Once per opponent's turn. Okay. Now they're gonna summon a dino. Yeah, these don't extend then. Okay, I was just making sure. I wonder if I should have nibbed there. No, I'm fine. Okay, so they don't have a dino to destroy for the bejeweled crocodile here. Why is this a dinosaur? Well, I guess crocodiles are pretty much dinosaurs. I don't know what their deck does. That's a great question. They do something for sure. Okay, they are linking those two off. For SP. I was going to say that's kind of why I wanted to nib. Was to get their Requiem off the field so they couldn't link. But if they're just going to go into an SP, I can just nib the SP. They're going to banish my Imperm? Sure. It pops the baby, but they didn't have a baby to pop. End of main. Don't have to deal with that anymore. Zero defense token. And end phase. Now I just want to triple check. This is only from the field to the graveyard. Love to see it. Oh, crossed out such a good top deck there. Even if their last card is a hand trap, now we're prepared for it. Alright, we go Chainlink 1 Angler, Chainlink 2 Swap Frog. Ghost Ogre. I play Ghost Ogre, right? Yeah, I play Ghost Ogre, that's what I thought. Ghost Ogre. Oh, if they're actually playing the trap card, that would be a little annoying. Actually, that doesn't even... No, that does go through, yeah. Gigantic was 100% the better ogre target, yeah. I don't know. I kinda didn't need to cross that out. It's fine. I'm trying to think. Even if they have the trap card here, I think we're still fine. Let's just see what they do here for a sec. No, okay, they don't play the trap card. So, okay, if I go into Sprint, that's a pretty easy Gigantic without having to go into Elf first, which I like the idea of doing that. I think I will. Also, it's deck thins. Also, I kind of want to overlay the Swap Frog if possible, so that way it goes to the graveyard. Yeah, it looks like they were just getting in their Fiendsmith stuff before I two-locked us. Oh, I should have used Swap Frog as an overlay material. It doesn't matter. Actually, I'm going to have to link off some of this stuff. I should put Gigantic in the EMZ. It doesn't matter. We still have more than enough bodies at the end of all this. Yep, give me Gamma Burst. And we'll do this during the damage step. Just to be safe. Alright. That. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. There we go. Love to see it. I think I meant to read Shadow Mosquito. If I really wanted to style on my opponent, let me read Shadow Mosquito for a second. Can I Shadow Mosquito my own monster? Could I have really style on them hard? No, it's only an opponent's monster. I was like, could I have Shadow Mosquitoed my own Nibiru to burn them? I think Sprite is absolutely my favorite deck in Master Duel. I love Sprite. Yummy might compete with that. Yummy might compete with that, because Yummy plays a lot like Sprite, and it's got the cute factor. I think the Sprite cards are really cute, too. I love Blue's outfit. I love all their outfits. But... oh, this will be interesting. This is a very interesting hand. Oh, no, never mind. That's not anymore. Alright. We'll just do the same thing we did last time, but we're going to actually do it correctly. We're just going to go Carrot, Jet, Starter, Set Starter, Starter on their draw phase, and give them one draw to have two negates up. Sure, go right ahead. I love it when my opponent hand loops themselves. That's my favorite. Yeah, that was funny. This hand is really interesting. Draw phase max C. Now, that hand was really interesting, though, because I would have gone normal summon Swap Frog, Sprite plays, Gigantic. That was a game where we could have Gigantic early to play around Nib, because I could have Gigantic for Swap Frog, bounce it back to my hand, and then swap Pitch Angler for 2 Beavers. That way, we can play under Nib without going into Sprint, and then we can still get all the bodies that we would normally anyway. That's why that hand was about to be interesting, but then they played Max C, so it wasn't. It's Tenpai. Okay. Sure. Yeah, we can't negate and destroy because... Oh, God. You gotta be kidding me! They have the field spell into Hydra! So, that's the thing that sucks about this, right? So, you might be wondering, well, Hex, why didn't you care when they activated Sangen summoning? It's because I don't have a rank or link to. If I did... Wait, actually, this might still be... Oh, no, because I get to battle over the carrot. Never mind. Yeah, it's Jover. I'm just going to concede here. Black! Black! Oh, well. It happens. But yeah, if I had a rank or a link to, I could have popped the field spell, but... Using Carrot's effect simply to negate and not destroy on a field or continuous spell as it's being activated doesn't actually do anything. I think Tenpai is fine with all its current limitations. I think it's going to fall off in terms of power level over time, naturally. It's been so many Lacrima openings. Can I get Engraver? Or we open tracked. We open tracked a couple of games. I think we just got max seed those games. Alright, let me think about how I want to do this. Do I want to special... Yeah, I will special summon blue before just going into Sprint. Because then... Like, if I went to Sprint and got hit with... Well, I guess I have cross out. I was going to say, if I got hit with an Imperm, I wouldn't be able to really do anything. This is so fine. Not that I can negate this anyway, but I am completely okay with that. I will say that I like the dynamic of playing against a going second deck when you're playing like a quote-unquote regular going first deck. I do think that Tenpai is very ham-fisted about it, which is not always the most fun, but I don't hate playing against going second decks inherently. And Tenpai is annoying, but I don't really... It's fine. It is what it is. Sky Striker Tenpai kind of scares me. I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but it feels like in any given format, there's like just that one deck that even if it's not the strongest, I just always lose to it for some reason. For me, that deck is the Sky Striker variant of Tenpai. I always lose to that deck. They always just get me with the spells and then normal summon Pydra or something. Yeah, that one always gets me. Tenpai ham-fisted about it because if they weren't, they wouldn't be good. I mean, there are going second decks that aren't like totally ham-fisted about it that are good. I think Ancient Gear is actually a pretty good example of that. Ancient Gear is not the best deck by any means, but I think Ancient Gear is a fairly competent going second deck. Cyber Dragon's another good. Cyber Dragon's a good example of a going second deck that's not necessarily an OTK deck either. I mean, yeah, Cyber Dragon can OTK a good amount of the time, but it really just wants to go second to make plays. What's up, Dead to Bread? I hope you are doing well. Thanks for stopping by today. I saw you yesterday as well. Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. For me, it's Iceberry. I never win the coin flip, and then they drop a bunch of floodgates. Yeah, that's fair. So I do think Ancient Gear is good. I think my threshold for good is lower than a lot of other people's. As far as like what I consider to be a good deck. To me, a good deck is like any deck that can reach Master 1, which is a lot of rogue decks too. Even lower rogue decks, as we were discussing earlier. Okay, I have to think about this for a second. Do I want to summon the Lacrima from my hand? I think I actually... Ugh. Safe play, greed play. Safe play, greed play. Safe play, greed play. Safe play, greed play. Ah! Safe play. Anything that can reach Master 1 is pretty broad. See, people say that, but, like, it's the top rank of the game. Like, any deck that could reach Master 1 could reasonably top a tournament, too. And if a deck could, you know, even if it takes a dedicated pilot, if a deck could reach the top rank of the game or top a tournament, I would consider that to be a good deck. I don't know why. I feel Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are really stingy about that definition for some reason. I think it's why, if you look at a lot of retro formats, a lot of decks get missed. Is because a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players will be like, oh, if it's a tier 3, I wouldn't even bring a tier 3 deck to a major event. You know, which only leads to like a handful of decks getting played. Then a decade passes, and we look at the format, people are like, how did everybody miss all these decks? And it's like... That's how. That's literally how. Sorry, I didn't mean to, like, I'm not, like, yelling at you. It's just something I'm very passionate about, is, like, the definition of what makes a good deck. Again, if I'm piloting a deck and it gets me to Master 1 or a tournament top, that's satisfying to me. I think that qualifies as a good deck. This is also why summoning Lacrima was the safe play in this situation in particular, is in case they had a negate. So prop up worse decks is very interesting. What exactly do you mean by that? Like, I feel like you're trying to evaluate decks separately from players, which you cannot do, because decks just don't play themselves. I don't think a good player taking a lower tier deck to a good finish is... Like, I don't know, you kind of make it sound like that's invalidating. I don't see that at all. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I would make the argument that a good player brings out the potential of what a deck like that can do, you know? Not the other way around. I don't think it's the other way around at all. If someone puts thousands of hours into one deck, others cannot replicate the results. Yeah, they can. By also putting the hours into the deck. Like, again, I don't know if you want a deck to be able to play itself, but that's simply not how it works. But I would argue that that is 100% replicatable by also putting in the work. Now, I agree with your statement that there's not really a cheat code. At the end of the day, you gotta put in the work. But I don't see how that takes away from the deck's quality at all, personally. We'll go for Swamp Frog here. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that some decks do need more effort to get the results, but I don't think that's not indicative of their power level. Oh, that Magnum Hut search really confused me for some reason for a second there. I was like, does this have a quick effect? Let's see. Yeah, we'll just go Elf with these two. Because yeah, there are some decks that like just don't have the power behind them. I'm thinking about like a pure dedicated Red Eyes deck, right? To an extent, there is a ceiling. I won't argue against that. Should I still need to special summon Sprite Jet at some point to get starter. I guess I'll do that now. And I guess I'll start her for... Well, I have Veiler, so I could start her for Carrot here. Maybe? Yes, I will start her for Carrot, and you know why I'm going to start her for Carrot? Is because we're going to go into Appaloosa off IP, because I'm going to make SP, because I'm going to have enough bodies to do it, and I can banish their Magnum Hut to get a body off their board. So we shall do it that way. Again, good is just like... Good is like fun. It's like one of the most subjective words in the world. Although good, unlike fun, is treated very objectively a lot of the time. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, because I don't think it is. But there are a lot of people who will say, oh, that's a good deck, and they mean it very objectively. But I will say one variant of fun that people do use very objectively is calling things unfun, which I find very interesting. The psychology behind Yu-Gi-Oh! Players being like, yep, this is an unfun deck, spoken as if it's like a universal term that is understood to have one definition. I find that very interesting. Alright, this looks good to me. Good is also, like, very often relative to the person who is saying it, right? Like, there's a lot of people who, when they think of a good deck, they're like, oh yeah, if I could win locals, I would need a good deck to do that, you know? Great soft. Wow, actually, I gotta think about this for a second. This is actually kind of difficult. So if they are on cash, I think I do have to negate it. I think you're right. I don't think I can take the chance. I think there's a decent chance it's tier limit, but I don't think I can take that chance here. Yeah, so when I think of Ancient Gear as good, when I say that, I'm like, you know, yeah, I think Ancient Gear could reach Master 1. Or, like, I've seen Ancient Gear sneak into, like, top 16 or top 8 of, like, community tournaments, right? Maybe I should have used a word like decent or solid. I think decent would have gotten my point across better, in all honesty. I could have spoken to that a little more accurately. Oh, they did Bestial stuff, so we knew they weren't Kashira. Yeah, I totally lost track of that. That's my fault. I should not have carroted that. You know what, though? Actually, even if they just got, like, a Fenrir out, though, I think that was still the right call. Because that would have been really annoying to deal with. Yeah, you know what? I think that actually was the right call at the end of the day. Alright, now I'm going to make a format Appo. Good and decent are basically synonyms. Again, very subjective. In my head, decent is just below good. That is kind of funny how everyone has their own unique, like, hierarchy in terms of descriptors. I put decent, like, one notch below good. And I'd have, like, great one notch above that. Maybe excellent one notch above that. And then if I use a word like, a phrase like phenomenal or mind-blowing, then it's like, then I'm just, yeah. That's the highest one for me. Pretty versus gorgeous means the same thing, but one holds more weight. Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, so you want to Sylvie. I suspect that... Actually, let me think about this for a second. You know what? I can kind of have my cake and eat it too here. Check this out. I'm gonna SP on the Druid Swarm. Yep, and then I can still Veiler the Sylvie. Call by, that's fine, honestly. I'm not that concerned about that. I can just Appaloosa them later. Yeah, I think we had to SP Druid Swarm, otherwise, like, okay, I see what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to get me into a situation where I use an Appaloosa negate, then they go Battle Phase, Druid Swarm over Appaloosa, Sylvia over SP, and then I just lose. So I think we did have to SP Druid Swarm so that it didn't threaten our board eventually. I feel like Sprite is one of those decks that can play 2 SP. That's not a horrible idea at all, actually. Definitely for the pure variant. Fiendsmith can't support it. That's not a horrible idea for pure at all, though, honestly. Yep, battle over elf, which is fine. Okay. Let's see. What's the easiest way to OTK here? Probably just a mosquito. I mean, it'll depend on what their face down is. With Druid Storm at 2800, we can do it in 3 attacks cleanly. Well, mosquito plus 3 attacks. I don't have swap. Oh, okay, I have 2 of my swap frogs banished. That's right. If we're gonna Shadow Mosquito, then I definitely Jet for starter here. We're referring to number 2, Ninja Shadow Mosquito. Would you choose Appaloosa over Underworld Goddess? I like the immediate interaction of Masquerena more. In Pure, I definitely play Underworld Goddess, but because we're playing the Fiendsmith variant, Oh, wait, what do I have in terms of Fiendsmith stuff in my yard? Just Requiem? Okay. Alright, we're just gonna get Carrot then. But because we're playing the Fiendsmith variant, I chose Appaloosa instead. Oh, I might not have enough to do this. Shoot. I might not have enough bodies to do this. I think I misplayed. Do I not have any... Oh, they had Morian! Oh yeah, we turbo lose to that. I'm just gonna concede here, actually. I misplayed that horribly. Wow, I should have played... Yeah, why couldn't we start her? There was a reason. What was it? No, it wasn't life pool. Well, because you can burn yourself with starter. That's because we activated it. Yeah, I totally spaced on that because I was yapping that we had already used starter. We went starter blue jet, so the second starter didn't do anything. That's where I screwed up. We didn't have that extra body. Dang. I wasn't paying attention. Oh well. I think I might actually end things off here. Getting a little bit tired and losing my focus a little bit, I think. But we did all the things I wanted to today. We got to level max, D-level max in the WCS. We did our 100 decks tier list, just wild. And we even got some laddering in too. We ranked up to Diamond 3. So, hell yeah. Thanks everybody for joining. Let me pop over to Twitch and I can thank everyone who... Actually, you know what? I can do this under... I can go to Streamlabs, and then I can see Twitch and YouTube. And I can thank everybody. If we had any subscribers during the stream. Here we go, recent events. Okay, so thank you to Ski for your sub for 22 months in a row towards the start of the stream. Again, that's insane. I wasn't even streaming for all that time, so I thank you so much for that support. That is incredibly generous of you. Really appreciate it. Thank you also to over on Twitch, XDD Cursed, Zabatman98, Yazzie, Mares, B1GOW, and Clumsy GT for the follows. Of course, thank you again to April Showers for the raid. Thank you so much, April. I really appreciated that. And then over on YouTube, we had subs from Lorenzo and Kakashi HD. Thank you so much, everybody who came by and supported and hung out. Yeah, so be on the lookout on both the Discord and social media for the next mini stream schedule. I've kind of just been doing mini schedules of like a couple days at a time. At the very latest, we'll stream again next weekend, but I'm going to try to get at least one in at some point during this week, but I'll make sure to announce whenever that happens. So thanks again for coming by, everybody, and let me see who is on Twitch that we can send you over to for a raid. I don't think YouTube has a raid feature, does it? I'm pretty sure it doesn't. If it does, I'd like to make use of that at some point, but, well, anyway. Sand Sally's on. Sand Sally dropped by earlier in the stream, so we're gonna go give her a raid. And I've been trying to work with a new a raid message. We're gonna say "Get Hexed" in all caps is our raid message for those who are gonna join us over there. So let me start the raid and let's see. All right, yep, that is gonna do it. Like I said, thanks again, everybody, for coming by, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.